Hello viewers, welcome to another lesson. For today, this is social and environmental studies for the upper basic students. Before we start answering our assignment questions, I am Bakar MC Sane. Now the first question reads, Islam was brought to Western Sudan by the Berber traders. That is the answer for question 1. Berber traders. Question 2. Identify 2 ways in which Islam was spread in the Gambia. Now, with this question, you may come up with different answers. Now, among the answers are persuasion, jihads, preaching, building of Quranic schools, etc., etc. All those are answers to question 2. Now, this brings us to our today's lesson entitled The Coming of Christianity in the Gambia. That's our lesson for today. Now, Christianity was introduced to the people of the Gambia by the Portuguese Christian missionaries around the 1400s. That is from 1400 to 1499. Now, this was during the 15th century. The first missionaries were the Roman Catholics, originally from Portugal, and they were followed by other missionaries from Britain and France. Now, the British missionaries who first arrived in the Gambia were the Quakers and Wesleyans, known as the Methodists. The Wesleyans are also called the Methodists. Now, this was in 1821 during the time of one of the British governors called Sir Charles Macarty. Now, Sir Charles Macarty in 1821 was the governor-in-chief of the British West African possessions from the years 1834 to 1854. Now, the first batch of Quakers was headed by William Singleton in 1821. This happened in 1821. Then, after them, another group of Quakers followed in 1823 under the leadership of Hannah Kilham. Now, the Quaker missionaries were the first Christian group to introduce formal education in the Gambia. Now, this formal education is known as Western education. Now, the wives of these missionaries also taught young women how to cook, sew, and keep the home clean, which is known as domestic science. Remember, they did a lot on that aspect as well, different from the spreading of the religion of Christianity. Now, on the other hand, John Morgan and John Baker were the first Methodist or Wesleyan missionaries to arrive in the Gambia. This was in 1821. Now, the Anglicans later arrived after the arrival of John Morgan and John Baker, and the Anglicans, in their effort to spread Christianity in the Gambia, built some churches. One of them is called the St. Mary's Cathedral, which was built in 1901. And apart from the building of churches, they also established some schools where Western education was formally introduced. Now, the Anglicans also established churches in various places across the Gambia. For example, in Farafenye, in the North Bank region of the country, Serekunda in the Kanifing municipality, Kombo Lameng, which is in the West Coast region, Bakau in the Kanifing municipality, and Kantora Jaokunda, which by that time was called Kristikunda, which is in the Upper River region of the country. Now, according to the Gambia Bureau of Statistics Population and Housing Census figures, in 2013, 3.8% of the Gambia's population is Christian. This was conducted during the census of 2013. Now, other Christian missionaries equally built churches at other places still in the Gambia. What are some of those places? Bintang, which is in Fonyi in the West Coast region. Jufure in Nyomi, that is in the North Bank region. And the one built in Jufure, Nyomi, was known as San Domingo. Now, this San Domingo is believed to be the first church founded in the North Bank region of the country. Now, in the southern region of the country, a church was built in a place called Tankular, which is in Kiang, that is situated in the Lower River region, and another one was built in Georgetown, which was given that name by the colonialists, and the name of the region by that time was called McCarthy Island Division, but now Georgetown is called Janjambure, and the region where Janjambure is situated is called Central River Region South. Now, these missionaries also helped in introducing Western system of education in the Gambia. In short, we call it Western education, where we learn different subjects in the names of English language, mathematics, social and environmental studies, woodwork, metalwork, technical drawing, home economics, etc., etc. Now, by the 18th and 19th centuries, Christianity as a religion was well established in the Gambia. By the 18th and 19th centuries, Christianity was deeply rooted in the Gambia during those centuries. Now, this was largely due to what? It was largely due to the activities of the European explorers to the Gambia, and it was also based on the navigability of the river Gambia. Now, what do we mean by that? This meant the river Gambia is very easy in terms of transportation. Ocean-going vessels can travel on it, so that makes it a navigable river. And another reason for the spread of Christianity in the Gambia was the ability of the Christian missionaries to cope with the weather conditions in the interior of the Gambia. They were able to cope with our weather conditions by that time. So that also gave them that favor, and they were able to convince a good number of people in accepting the religion of Christianity. Now, the method used by them during that time was to get many converts, and in order to get these converts, they adopted the use of Western education. Now, by how? By building schools in various regions of the country. Now, after building schools, they were also providing scholarships to needy and poor children, as well as deserving children for that matter. And they were equally preaching as well. These were some of the methods used by the early missionaries in their effort to spread Christianity in the country. Now, this brings us to an image of some of the institutions or places of worship established by the missionaries. Now, here we are seeing the Cathedral of Our Lady of the Assumption, which is in the capital city, Banjul. Then we have a Methodist mission That's the Methodist Mission, which is in Bakau, in the Kanifi municipality. Then the next image we are seeing here is showing Bishop Hannah Caroline Falheim. This is one of the Christian bishops in the Gambia. Now, the next is the late Bishop Solomon Tilewa Johnson. You can see his image. He was one of the Christian bishops in the Gambia. Now we are seeing Bishop Gabriel Mendy, who is the Catholic bishop in the Gambia at present. Now, the next is showing the Reverend James Allen Yao Odiko. He's also one of the Christian bishops in the Gambia. Now, like I was mentioning earlier on, the title given to these heads of the Catholic and Anglican missions in the Gambia is called a bishop. Now, sometimes, in fact, in assessment, it comes. What title is given to the heads of the Catholic mission, or what title is given to the head of the Anglican mission? So, in that case, the answer is bishop. Now, the late Bishop Solomon Tilewa Johnson, for example, which is called the Most Reverend, was the first Gambian to be appointed Anglican bishop of the Gambia, Cape Verde Islands, or known as Archipelagos. Cape Verde Islands is also called Archipelagos because it has series of islands in the open sea. That makes it Archipelagos, and also Senegal. So during the time of the late Bishop Solomon Tilewa Johnson, he was the Anglican bishop of these three countries, that is the Gambia, Cape Verde Islands, and Senegal, up to the year 1990. He was ordained deacon in 1979 and priest in 1980. Now, Bishop Tilewa Johnson initially served at the Church of the African Martyrs in Farafenye, that is the North Bank region of the country, and St. Mary's Cathedral in Banjul. Now, the Reverend Hannah Caroline Falheim was the first female bishop both in the Gambia and West Africa. Now, you need to note some of these points because it may be seen in your assessments. Among the first females to become a bishop both in the Gambia and West Africa is called Dasta. So, in that case, the answer is the Reverend Hannah Caroline Falheim. Now, on the other hand, Samuel Ajay Crowther was the first African bishop in 1864 who is from Sierra Leone. So, Samuel Ajay Crowther was the first African bishop in 1864. Now, on the other hand, the Most Reverend Bishop Gabriel Mendy is the first ordained Gambian Catholic bishop. That is the current Catholic bishop of the Gambia, who is a native of Kombo Lameng in the West Coast region. Now, remember, we've dealt with some of the reasons for the coming of Islam in the Gambia. Now, what are some of the reasons for the coming of Christian missionaries in the Gambia? Remember, they also got reasons for introducing the religion, for coming up with the religion of Christianity. Among the reasons for introducing Christianity in the Gambia was to convert people to Christianity. It's among the reasons. And the other reason is to trade with the people of the Gambia, involving into the buying and selling of goods as well as the exchanging of services. Now, the other reason was to civilize the Gambians. It was also among the reasons. Now, just like that of the Islamic leaders or jihadists, they used to be faced with challenges and problems. Equally, the Christian missionaries, they also faced some challenges as well as problems. And among those challenges or problems are, one, people were unfriendly to them. It's like in some communities, they were not highly welcomed as expected, just like the case of the jihadists. Then the other problem was the climate in the Gambia isn't favorable to them by that time. In fact, some of the missionaries died of malaria, which is one of the commonest diseases in the Gambia, even up to date. Now, another problem faced by them was communication barrier. You remember this communication barrier was one of the biggest problems, like the ability to understand each other's language. Some Gambians will be speaking Pular, others Olof, others Mandinka, others Sarangule, you name them. So the missionaries by that time were speaking English. So understanding each other was a problem, especially in a community where the people who learned or acquired Western education isn't much or is not even available. Now, another problem was diseases, especially malaria, which killed some of the missionaries. The other one is missionaries were ignorant of the Gambia's culture and beliefs. It's like they knew little about the way of life of Gambians, the beliefs of Gambians. Remember in our past lesson, we've talked about these beliefs. We said some of the people were just adhering to the African traditional religion, the religion called animism. They were sticking to that. They were with the belief that it is the best of all forms of religion. So that was another problem faced by the missionaries as well. Another problem was the strong influence of Islam. It's like the missionaries came later after the spreading of Islam in various regions of the country. So Islam spreading across various regions of the country also was a challenge by the missionaries. So they found it difficult to convince the people who accepted Islam already to revert to the religion of Christianity. Another problem or challenge was the concept of monogamy. For example, some Gambians will adopt the polygamy type of marriage, where a man will marry more than one wife. And this concept of monogamy is mainly advocating for one man, one wife syndrome. Now, jihadists also use force. But what about the missionaries? They didn't. They used persuasion to try to convince people through preachings, reading scriptures from the Holy Bible, and then explaining what those scriptures or verses meant to the general populace. So it's like they were trying to urge people to accept the religion, and not in a forceful way, like it was done by some of the jihadists. For example, the likes of Fode Kaba Dumbuya, Fode Kombosila. Those people, they waged a war, yes, resulting to the loss of lives for people to forcefully accept the religion of Islam. Now, another problem was the different Christian denominations or groups competed each other for converts. Just like that of the religion of Islam, people belong to different Islamic sects. On the side of the Christianity, equally, people belong to different Christian denominations. So that was also a challenge. So it's like a competition among the missionaries now, competing for more people into your denomination. That was also a challenge. Other examples of Christian missionary denominations or sects in the Gambia today include the Catholics, Methodists or Wesleyans, Anglicans, Pentecostal, the Born Again. Now, apart from these Christian denominations, there are other Christian denominations which are a subdivision of these major Christian sects or denominations. Now, the positive effects of Christian missionary activities in the Gambia. Remember, there are positive effects or outcomes with the coming of Christianity in the Gambia. Among the positive outcomes are: 1, mission schools built. Mission schools built. One good example is St. Teresa's Upper Basic School, which is in the Westfield. Then there is another in Kombo-Lamen called St. Peter's Lower Basic School. There is St. Peter's Upper Basic and Senior Secondary School as well. St. George's Upper Basic School, which is situated in Basse of the Upper River region of the country. Then other positive effects are introduction of European medicine. If you want medication, especially in our health facilities, the method of education adopted is as a result of the coming of the Christian missionaries. It's as a result of that. So the European medicine got introduced. The medicines that we use in treating diseases in the modern way is through the use of the medicines manufactured by the Europeans. Then introduction of Christian names, for example, John, Josephine, Peter, Paul, Wendy, Caroline, etc., etc., just like that of Islam. So it also led to the adoption of various Christian names, more especially the names found in the Holy Bible. Then the other effect is clinics opened. One good example is the clinic in Sibanor, which is in the West Coast region of the country, known as WEC International. WEC International is one of the clinics opened as a result of the coming of Christianity in the Gambia. Then build churches to spread the faith is among the positive effects. Today, if you travel the length and breadth of the Gambia, you come across churches in every region of the Gambia. Now, the exercises for today, before we call it a day, reads, number 1, name the Christian missionaries to introduce formal education in the Gambia. I repeat, 1, name the first Christian missionaries to introduce formal education in the Gambia. Question number 2 reads, the British missionaries who first arrived in the Gambia were the Quakers and dash dash. So, viewers, this brings us to the end of our today's lesson. Once again, I am Bakar MC Sane. I wish you good luck and have a nice day. Thank you.